Yeah.
So we have,
It's strange when you think about the main scientist of Israel. I had a talk. One of my previous chapters was with Orna Berry. She was the head scientist of Israel, and she said, and she like told the story of how did it begin and how is it right now and what they've done in order to do so, like to make the financial economy of Israel more stable. They decided to go for this kind of way of working, which many other more established European countries are coming back to Israel and trying to do it right now, which is a bit like later, like 40 years, 30 years later. But I think that it's even more interesting in the context of coming from the academy, because in most of our entrepreneurs are not coming from the academy. Like most of them, they're coming from the private sector, they're coming from the army, they're coming from whatever they know, and they're trying to do what, like, have the most motivation, the highest ideas that they could just try. And coming from academy is very, very strange in all of the, I think, not only in Israel, because the personality of somebody who's like a researcher is so different from an entrepreneur, is like doing things like business way of thinking. And it's strange that this is like the first time that I hear about someone coming from the academy. Like maybe you could say Mobileye inventor, he came from academy, right? But that's the only thing that comes to my mind.
yeah, he's one of a kind. He's one of a kind. He has the
Yeah, so it's only
capability
one
of
person.
he has the
But in
capability of
general,
being an entrepreneur, and from the research side, from the academy side, most of them doesn't have it. You know,
yeah,
it's even from the basic situation. These guys would like to stay backstage, even
yeah,
if even with when I escort them or walk with them or go with them to enter to a VC meeting. They would rather stay in the lab. They don't want to be a part of that. It's very frustrating for them, the whole procedure of fundraising itself. So that's exactly. We started with the issue that the food tech industry has lack of professional business people, and that's the reason why when you see someone that could do both things, that is exceptional. That's the reason why the company is so flourish and so successful, and it has the capability of going and scale up nationwide. It could go to the US or whatever, but these are most of the time you can't see them.
yeah. You know
That's the
when
reason, by the way, that a lot of people from the industry itself, from Unilever, from Coca-Cola, from Nestle, are joining the food tech industry, trying to add from their experience and their knowledge and their connection. They're helping a lot.
Yeah, because in their own companies, in the internal innovation teams, they have these people, their own researchers, and they have the business people, and they will go and get the funding from the CEO and then from the C level. They have these like levels of people who are doing it within the company. It's usually not the same people in the innovation team going and doing it. And when you're an entrepreneur, you need to do both. You need to do this and this and this. You don't have any other opportunity. Um, just
That's the
setting
reason,
someone
by the
else.
way, these multinational corporates understood that they have to take the innovation side from the external, take it external. It's
Yeah,
extremely
open
difficult to
innovation.
innovate within the company itself, because
Yeah,
they have the products. They don't have to take. They don't like to take this risk behind it. Someone
yeah,
else, they will take the risk. They will be a part of the industry, the
yeah,
ecosystem. You see most of them either have an accelerator or a VC or a hub or something like that. They're trying to learn from the industry. We talked at the beginning of the conversation about business intelligence.
hmm,
All of those guys has scouters here in Israel. They're doing the same job for them as a business intelligence from the business intelligence side, trying to learn what would be the next feature or the next product or the next design or whatever. Um, preparing them for the next stage.
Yeah. But you mentioned that it's hard for them to take risks, but it's more than that. Even if they do decide to take the risk, it's very hard for them to move fast and to change things and to really innovate massively within their company, because, as you said, they're very traditional. They're moving very, very slow. They have these people that they are very good for, being excellent at what they're doing, but not doing things really, really differently, and therefore it's harder for them to do so, I guess.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
So we are almost done. I have like tons of questions that I didn't have time to ask, but I would ask this: like, if you had a leader of one of these companies, let's say Coca-Cola, coming to you, what would be the number one tip you would give him in order to innovate better, and what you learned from our experience as very young, innovative food tech nation?
That's a difficult question, I have to say. I would say do things differently. So when I say do things differently, don't go to the obvious. Don't go to the countryside meat or the milk or whatever. Look for it, because it looks like it's a very crowded neighborhood. A lot of companies behind that. Someone would. I'm not sure if the winner takes it all, right? If a specific company will dominate the industry, but it's already quite crowded. Unless you already have some kind of a relationship with one of them, look differently, look elsewhere. We talked about the issue of sugar reduction. I think that's the next big issue, especially if you're talking about a beverage company. That's a main problem, a main pain for these guys. Look over there, and try to find it's much more than the solution itself. Trying to find and nurture the right person or the right people or the right team behind that, because otherwise you're just going to have an amazing idea standing over there without any usage. So again, don't go to the obvious, don't go to the crowded scene. Look for something unique, something else, and look for the best team that you can find, because ideas you have all around the place. You can I hear about new ideas almost on a daily basis.
Right.
But it's very difficult to find the right team that could manage the expectation that we talked about, and understanding that it's a different environment, different situation, especially if you're coming from traditional tech.
Yeah, of course. So I want to thank you for joining me. It's been really, really interesting. And I would ask, like, if somebody wants to contact you and ask you some questions and hear more about what you do, where would they find you?
Yeah, first of all, we haven't talked about what I do.
Right.
And I thought that would be something like